Hey everyone, it's December 24th, 2024, and we're going to be diving into some pretty major political news that broke over the weekend.
Yeah, definitely a lot to unpack today.
So let's just jump right in.
Let's do it.
All right, so first up, the House Ethics Committee released a report on former Representative Matt Gaetz, outlining years of serious misconduct, including illegal drug use and sexual impropriety.
Yeah, this report is incredibly detailed, and there's really no room for interpretation here. They uncovered evidence of over $50,000 in illicit expenditures and documented violations going all the way back to 2018.
Wow, 2018, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And the report actually connects these findings to Gates' recent withdrawal from consideration for Attorney General under President-elect Trump.
Right. It's tough to imagine him securing a position like that with these allegations hanging over him, right? And this whole situation has really sparked a conversation about accountability in Congress. Will this lead to stricter enforcement of the rules or even a push for new reforms? That's the big question.
It's a huge question. And, this is really just the tip of the iceberg. At only 42, Gaetz has a long road ahead. And this report could potentially trigger further criminal investigations.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see how this unfolds. And, this case really has the potential to reshape how we think about ethics and oversight in the political arena.
For sure.
Now, shifting gears a little bit. Yeah. Another big development, Senator Chris Murphy issued a stark warning about the potential for America to become an oligarchy.
Oligarchy? What does that mean for those of us who may not be familiar with the term?
Basically, he's arguing that the growing influence of billionaires in our government is really tilting the scales away from the public good, away from what's best for the majority of Americans.
Okay, I see. And just to give our listeners some perspective, the combined net worth of U.S. billionaires is a staggering $4.7 trillion.
You got it. That's a lot of money concentrated in a very small percentage of the population.
Yeah.
And it raises some serious questions about the health of our democracy.
Right. I mean, it's hard to imagine that kind of wealth wouldn't have some impact on our political system. Would you say Senator Murphy is on to something here?
It's a very partisan issue, that's for sure. Democrats are largely echoing Murphy's concerns, while lobbying efforts from wealthy industries have reached record levels this election cycle.
So it seems like those with significant financial resources are actively trying to maintain their influence.
Absolutely. And this isn't just an American phenomenon either. International observers are noticing similar patterns in democracies worldwide.
Wow. So this is raising questions about the future of democratic governance on a global scale.
Exactly. Big questions we're facing. What will happen to wealth concentration trends? Will campaign finance reform gain any traction? These are the things we need to be thinking about.
Very thought-provoking points. Okay, so we've talked about Matt Gaetz, Senator Murphy's warning, and now let's pivot to Steve Bannon's controversial call for Gaetz to expose alleged sexual depravity in Congress.
Yeah, Bannon's statement came just one day after the release of that ethics report on Gaetz.
Interesting timing.
Right. Makes you wonder about his motives.
It does. Is this a genuine call for transparency, or is it a strategy to deflect attention from Gaetz's own alleged misconduct?
Tough to say for sure, but what we do know is that the investigation into Gaetz involved a review of over 14,000 documents and 29 subpoenas.
Wow, that's extensive.
Yeah, and despite all that, Gaetz chose not to testify under oath.
Interesting. And the report outlines some pretty specific allegations against Gaetz, including payments totaling $90,000 to 12 women between 2017 and 2020.
Right. This whole situation is far from over. We could see legal challenges to the report, and there's definitely a possibility of criminal investigations coming out of this.
So the potential consequences here are huge.
They are. This is a complex web with a lot of threads still unraveling.
Definitely a story we'll be following closely. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll dive deeper into the implications of these stories and what they mean for the future of American politics. So stay with us.
Yeah, this could even be like the thing that ignites, some big ethics reforms in Congress. It's happened before, right? Like a big scandal leads to big changes.
Yeah, it's possible. So looking at all of this, what do you think is the most significant takeaway? Like what's really hitting home for you?
It's the long-term impact on American politics that's really striking me. These aren't just isolated incidents, they're pointing to some pretty fundamental challenges that our democracy is facing.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're seeing wealth inequality, political maneuvering, and this growing distrust in institutions all kind of converging at the same time.
Exactly. And Take the Matt Gaetz case, for example. It raises questions about accountability or consequences. Will this actually serve as a deterrent for future misconduct, or will it just kind of fade away?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
The fact that he resigned before the report even came out, it kind of suggests that maybe he was trying to, avoid more scrutiny, but the damage to his reputation is pretty undeniable.
Oh, absolutely. And then you have Senator Murphy's warning about oligarchy. Is he exaggerating the threat, or is America really at risk of becoming a country ruled by a wealthy elite?
I think that's a question a lot of people are asking themselves these days, for sure. The evidence certainly points to a growing influence of wealth in our politics. It's not something we can ignore.
Right. It's such a complex issue, too. And what makes it even more challenging is the partisan divide on this issue. It's like Democrats and Republicans are looking at two completely different realities when it comes to, the role of money in politics.
Yeah, that's true. And that makes finding common ground and actually implementing any meaningful reforms incredibly difficult.
Yeah, it's like we're stuck in this cycle of finger pointing and inaction.
Exactly. And then you have Steve Bannon urging Gaetz to expose wrongdoing in Congress. Is that genuine, or is it just a distraction from Gates' own problems?
It's hard to tell with Bannon, but his involvement definitely adds another layer of complexity to this whole situation.
It does. It feels like we're at a crossroads. And the choices we make now, they're really going to have a profound impact on, the future of our democracy.
That's a powerful way to put it. What kind of society do we want to live in? One where the wealthy and powerful just operate without any accountability? Or one where the government is truly answerable to the people?
It's a question we all need to be asking ourselves, I think. We can't just be passive observers, We need to be active participants in shaping the future we want.
I agree completely. It all starts with staying informed, engaging in these discussions, and holding our elected officials accountable.
Right. Every vote we cast, every letter we write, every conversation we have, it all contributes to building the kind of world we want to see. And I know it can feel overwhelming sometimes, but we can't give up.
Couldn't agree more. These stories have really made me think, forced me to confront some uncomfortable truths about, the state of our nation.
I hear you. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day, the drama of politics and lose sight of the bigger picture. But we need to step back and ask ourselves, what kind of future are we actually building?
It's a daunting picture for sure. We're facing some serious challenges. But I do believe that we have the capacity to overcome them if we work together.
I agree. We've faced tough times before, and we've always found a way to come out stronger on the other side. It's about remembering that we're all in this together. We might have different opinions, different backgrounds, but we all share a common goal, a better future for ourselves and for future generations, right?
Such an important message. We need to find ways to bridge these divides that separate us and work together to create a more just and equitable society.
And that starts with listening to each other, understanding different perspectives, finding that common ground. It's not about always agreeing, but about respecting each other's viewpoints and having a constructive dialogue.
You're absolutely right. It's about recognizing that we're all part of something larger than ourselves. Right. That we have this responsibility to each other and to future generations.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into today's top political news, I want to leave our listeners with a question to think about.
Okay.
In a world of increasing wealth disparity, all this political maneuvering and a constant flood of information, what role can we as individuals really play in safeguarding democratic values and ensuring accountability?
Yeah.
It's something I've been thinking about a lot lately.
It's a big question for sure. It's not necessarily about having all the answers, but it is about engaging in the process. Asking the tough questions and demanding better from our leaders, right?
Exactly. It's about recognizing that our democracy isn't just a spectator sport. It requires participation from all of us.
Yeah, and that participation can take many forms. Voting, contacting our representatives, supporting organizations that align with our values, having those conversations with our friends and family about the issues that matter most.
Right. Every action, no matter how small, it all contributes to shaping the future that we want to see.
I think we've given our listeners plenty to chew on today.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
As always, we encourage everyone to stay curious, stay engaged, and stay informed. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
Take care.